Hey, what's going on, guys? Bobby Fi here. Guessing this means Sheets isn't going to be here today. He's got a lot of family stuff going on, so hopefully all that's going well. I'm also guessing that. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out a couple of different things here. Um, sorry.
What's going on?
Hey, oh, you're there. All right, great. Sorry, Sheets. Do you want to start off, sir? 1 second. I'm just trying to fix something on the site thing real quick. Sorry, I was just about to talk about what we were doing. I didn't know for sure if you were going to be here or what we were doing about tonight, and just wanted to check in with you on that.
Yeah, so the two main changes in the lineups were two pitchers. One was the Mets pitcher Senga was replaced by McGill, and the KC put in a 4K cheapo, the Mike Mayers, instead of the other cheapo, which was I guess Daniel Lynch, but Daniel Lynch was like 7,100 or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's showing up as a value play to Mike Mayer, so that's something I guess we should talk about. The other thing is, in hitting, I'm not getting that much Miami at all. I'm getting some, but I mean not a big deal. I'm getting a lot of Houston, a lot of Milwaukee, getting some Mets actually, and then some. A little bit of the Red Sox also. That's on DraftKings. And then on FanDuel, it's going to be, it looks like, I'll get to the pitching in a second, but hold on. FanDuel, I guess I'll look at the hitting first. Hold on. Hitting on FanDuel, once again, it's Houston, Milwaukee, some San Diego and Boston, but Houston's like really dominating the proceedings, if you want to know the truth. And then pitching on first FanDuel first, and then I didn't do my big one yet, but Strider and Cole, just like the majority. And then I do have some sprinkles of like some other nonsense, but it's mostly Strider and Cole on FanDuel. And then on DraftKings, let me just get this. And again, I didn't finalize my big buy-ins yet, but overall, my exposure is, hold on 1 sec, is Cole and Strider again, the top two, maybe 50, 40% each. And then I right now have the two cheapos. I have Mayers and Bello as the next two highest owned, and then like a whole bunch of sprinkles throughout. So that's kind of where I am right now.
Yeah, I have zero Mayers. I don't really understand what this thing is. It's because the guy's 4K. We're supposed to play him over guys who are 6K that actually are pitchers, and we don't even know if this guy will throw more than 50 pitches. He might literally be perfect in 2 innings and not make it through the third if he walks one guy. I may throw him in with the other cheapo as just a way to do something in a smaller buy-in, but I can't see prioritizing this. And I'm actually kind of confused because I've heard other people talking about this as well. For one thing, he's a really bad. It's a bad prospect. Not like a real prospect. He's not in anything. He's facing Detroit is the only thing. But I don't really understand where this is coming from. That people even his I think career high for the MLB is 55 pitches, 56 pitches.
Okay.
So I'm just not sure how this works. I have no reason to think this is not like a bullpen game. That's just me. I'm still struggling with it though, because I've heard a lot of people talking about it, and I'm almost wondering if there's something I'm missing because I just don't get it. But I understand these 4K. I don't love the pitching on this slate anyway because the guys at the top, I don't think these are easy matchups. I have Cole ahead of Strider. I have a lot of Bello. And then I've got a medium amount of a bunch of guys, Eduardo Rodriguez, Marco Gonzalez, Miller. Miller is one of the top prospects in baseball. I had him mixed up with another guy earlier today with Stone, actually.
You like Miller more than Mayer is what you're saying.
Well, I mean, he's a real pitcher.
The matchup is different.
I don't even know that, like, I mean, it's just like, what do you want from your pitchers on you know what I mean? Like, if you have a guy who's never pitched more than 3 innings in a game and was pitching badly in the minors before he got called up and pitched last game. And his last game, didn't he start the last game and he went 2 2/3 and he didn't even get hit that hard? I mean, I just don't understand it. With Miller, he's actually a real top level prospect. I don't think he'll go above 85 pitches, but there's a big difference between 50 and 85. And I'm not saying that they who knows, maybe everything goes perfect for Mayers and he's rolling and they let him pitch 5 innings and he throws 70 pitches and somehow in 5 innings. I'm not saying it's not possible. It just feels like a reach to me. I like Alex Cobb a lot. I'm actually using him as one of my pitchers on FanDuel. One of the best ground ball rates in the game. It's Minnesota. I'm not terribly afraid. Cobb has been very consistent outside of his last tough start against Philly. It's going to happen to some people. And he got wild. I'm not worried about him getting as wild against the Minnesota team that doesn't have a lot of patience. And I think that Cobb would be the third guy I would be trying to get in if I was spending up a little. But I kind of like the idea of Gonzalez, even though I can understand that, an argument for an A's stack, and Gonzalez certainly can get, exposed. I think taking a shot here on him at 6,700 against the A's makes some sense. I think Bello makes some sense. Another extreme ground ball pitcher who's another top prospect and who's also been fairly consistent and good, including in some tough matchups. So that's sort of where I'm at with the pitching. What are you doing for hitting? I've still got to go finish out.
I already mentioned all that. Houston. Yeah. I have all kinds of Houston. Both on FanDuel and on DraftKings. I need you actually kind of like pare it down a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm getting very little of not very little. I guess I'm getting some Miami, but not really anything substantial.
Mm-hmm.
Houston, Milwaukee, San Diego, some. And I know you don't like them on the road, but I'm getting a decent amount of Boston as well.
Yeah, I've got a lot of Houston as well. I think it's going to be a pretty popular place by the end of the day. I'm kind of looking at the projected ownership, and it just feels way too low. I can almost guarantee that in the higher buy-ins that these ownerships are too low on Houston. I understand that pricing is tough to get in, and maybe people will just play them on FanDuel who play both sides because they are so much easier to get in on FanDuel. But it is hard for me not to have Houston as one of the priority stacks here. I'm sort of with you on that one. I like Seattle still. I like both sides of the Detroit-Kansas City game again. I like the Rockies. I actually think that the Rockies, just the lack of ownership, the fact that nobody's projected above 6% owned, 7% owned, I'll be way over on that. So, and then for pieces, I don't mind parts of it. Oakland, I don't mind parts of Milwaukee, and I think I'm going to have to go out of my way and just force in Atlanta and San Diego stacks in a couple spots. I think Atlanta makes a ton of sense. And even though, look, Miller is good. This is the kind of situation. This is what you do with these young guys. You stack against them and you play them some. Both can be logical. And if you get to him early enough, the Dodgers bullpen is certainly strong. It's not like you're dealing with the 7, 8, 9 guys from the bullpen if it's early in the game, especially if Strider's going well and it's like 7-0. You're not going to see the Dodgers' best guys come out. So. I feel good to be underweight on Miami. I do think Miami's being overprojected in terms of ownership. I don't think they're going to be as popular as everybody's expecting. I think they'll be the most popular team, but I don't think you're going to be seeing 30% owned guys, which some sites have these guys as being owned. I think it's going to be more, in the 20s. And I'm just really surprised that no one's going to take a shot here against on Colorado. Another one of those situations where you can make a weird argument for Ruiz, probably the wrong slate, but you also could, I just think that the Rockies make a lot more sense than they're getting credit for today. So the teams I have notes on, the things I have to force into my lineups more are Miller, Atlanta, and San Diego. And right now, currently, it's Seattle, Houston, the Detroit KC game in Colorado are the ones I've got the most exposure to.
And what about FanDuel hitting?
FanDuel hitting, Austin Riley is in both my big buy-ins because he's 2,900, and I'll just keep playing him as long as he's 2,900. don't really care that he hasn't had the power this season that we were expecting. The Angels are a lot easier to get in over there if you want to take the other side against Bello. The Angels are pretty reasonable to me over there.
I was literally just looking at that.
Yeah. You got Trout and Ohtani at 38, so that seems reasonable. I like Atlanta though too. I just think Atlanta, when I can get guys in, I want to try and get some Atlanta. So I've got like an Atlanta Colorado stack, and I've got like what's it called? A Houston and Angels stack right now, but probably going to make a couple changes to that one. But yeah, it's a big slate. It does feel like a tough slate. It feels like it's a hard one to get right. And there's a lot of teams that I think are going to have good nights, but none of them stand out as being like, oh, this is a must, play kind of a situation or something like that. And you just got like so many on FanDuel. One thing, just like Ryan McMahon, Ozzie Albies, Jose Altuve, Austin Riley. These guys are just too cheap, and they take up sort of crossover positions. But I'm just playing all of those guys basically, and then sort of saying, okay, whoever else, so be it. Do your thing. Like I'm gonna play these guys. I just like them better than I do anybody else, and everything is just a little easier to get in. Corey Dickerson is minimum cost. He's for Washington. I'm not loving like that, but I don't. It's not that I love it, but there's like literally like nobody who's like minimum cost entirely on FanDuel except for Corey Dickerson.
Right.
So I just wanted to point him out there because I did run into a lineup where I needed exactly 2K from a player, and I don't mind taking a one-off of a guy who's got some talent, even though he's struggled for a while. And he's minimum cost batting 5th. So on FanDuel.
You like Milwaukee at all on FanDuel?
Yeah, they're another one of the teams that everybody seems too cheap except for except for Atlanta outside of Riley. But everybody else feels like a little too cheap to me over there. So I think they totally make sense. I'm not playing any Milwaukee on FanDuel. I do have Adames as a one-off, a couple places. But I have no problem with Milwaukee. I just didn't build enough lineups to where I got to them.
Yeah.
Probably.
Right now I have a really nice, pretty lineup. My big one with Houston and Seattle. I think I'm just going to just stick with that. I think.
Yeah. To answer the question that we've got about asking about, I guess it's my Colorado stacks because I said I was playing them. The bats I like: Diaz, McMahon, Blackman, pretty much the usual suspects. They've been bad power wise all year long, so it is a kind of a weird. It's the reason why no one's playing them. They're just sort of tired of it. I get it. I still think that it's worth taking some shots here, but Diaz has been awesome this year, except for he's just not hitting for a ton of power. I have some Michael Toglia. I think the guy who people will play the most, even though it's funny he's batting 7th, but he's actually shown some power upside this year, is why can't I get his name right now? He's 3,600. Brenton Doyle. And there is always some, with Rocky guys, they tend to do some weird stuff. You get a lot of 2-at-bat games from guys these days. But I do like a little Brenton Doyle. So there's no Rockies that I'm Xing out. I'm only using guys like Castro and 5-man stacks because he just has no power. And I'd say the same thing about Tovar. Is Tovar even? Yeah, Tovar's in. But those guys would be in 5-man stacks only for me. But I think that look, you've got a lot of good options today. I'm not gonna. There's no stack. It's one of those other days where outside of the Orioles and probably the Dodgers, and even the Dodgers, if I was playing 150, they probably would have one or two lineups.
Yeah, I think so.
But I just don't think that. I just think everybody has a good enough case. But I'm trying to keep it down to my 3 to 5. So what I don't like that I've got right now is I've got a Detroit KC game stack with my Strider Cole combination, and I just don't feel like the upside is quite enough. But then again, I can make the same argument about the Rockies with the way that they haven't hit for power all season long. So
right,
it's a little bit tricky, especially with Chris Bryant and Moustakas, who we know at least have power, who aren't in the lineups. And we officially have we don't have the lineup for, we do have the lineup for, let me just take a quick look at the lineup for for Miami, because I do think Miami pieces are fine. Another team with no power though, really, like other than Soler and Cooper. I guess you could say De La Cruz, but he's very streaky. Yeah, Fortes batting 8th, unfortunately, but I do like Fortes anyway. I have some Garrett Cooper, Fortes, like some like 2-man stacks with Birdie and Cooper, Birdie and Fortes, just little ones. But I have nothing more than 3 Miami players in any lineup. As we always talk about, I just think that's, I said yesterday that I thought the best bet of the day was the Miami Colorado under. I don't feel quite as strongly today, but it does feel like we don't need to play all these guys at these ownerships. And I just keep coming back to maybe I need to get the Atlanta thing a little bit more. One of the things that draws me a tiny bit off of it on DraftKings, and it's not that much, you know what I mean? Like I said, the righties who can hit home runs to the opposite field and left, it's only, actually, you know what? It's died down. It was 10 miles an hour blowing in from left. Now it's only 6 miles an hour, and it's a little bit more of a crosswind. So I can certainly talk myself into this. The more I talk, the more I'm probably going to find myself talking up the Braves, because this Bobby Miller thing, I like the idea of having both sides of it. And I really think that if you talk about teams that have a chance to put up the real nut ceiling score, I like Atlanta as one of those teams.
Yeah.
And beware don't be shocked if Marcell Ozuna gets thrown out tonight, though. I'll tell you that.
Why? What's going on with that?
It's 5 times now it's happened to Dodger catchers where he, on his follow through from his swing, he's hit them in the back of the head.
Oh,
and
really?
They almost had a brawl last night, and he did it in the playoffs too. Last year and the year before. Was it last year? The year before? I guess it was the year before last. And it's just like, I just feel like something's boiling over there. I'm still going to play some Ozuna. Don't get me wrong. He's 2,700 on DK. If I'm going to play Atlanta, I'm going to play some of them. But it is a little, it's kind of disgusting that they're letting him play, to be honest with you, after doing that stuff. But I will try to take advantage of it as I play him in my stacks. Did you get into much for the basketball tonight?
Yeah, I'm just playing some lineups. I'm do the same as last night. I'm just doing it.
Well, let's shed some light. Winner, you're the big winner. We need to know what's up.
I'm just fiddling around with this DraftKings lineup for a second.
Oh yeah, do your thing. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm just trying to think of what to do with it. I'm getting back to this freaking. This is the problem when I play both FanDuel now, because I like my Houston and Seattle and FanDuel, and now I don't want to play them on DraftKings because of that.
Yeah.
I don't want to take too much risk. It's like it's a little annoying. Who do you like at catcher on DraftKings? The Houston guy, right? The Houston guy. Okay.
Houston, Yanier Diaz, Nick Fortes, Salvador Perez, Cal Raleigh, Elias Diaz.
So any more cheapos here? Who's second base, shortstop, outfield? Anybody cheap over there?
Julian is cheap for the Twins, batting 5th at second base.
Valdez is $3K for Boston. That's okay, I guess.
Yeah, Valdez is another one. Seattle. Most of mine are in stacks. My highest owned is Altuve, which is a spend up.
Any cheap shortstops you were saying? Probably a Detroit, I guess.
I don't have any cheap shortstops that I'm playing.
Oh yeah, these guys are all terrible.
I'm playing Bobby Witt, Birdie, Baez.
He was pretty cheap. Just staring at it is Willie Adames.
Yeah, he's too cheap for sure. That's the range that you end up in as a spend down, in my opinion.
Right. Is there any flat 2K guys at outfield? No, I guess not. Not quite.
I don't have anybody. Let me see. Maybe there is somebody that I didn't think of, but
the Veerling's 2,400. That's not bad.
Yeah, Veerling is very reasonable. He probably would have led off if it was lefty today. So he's probably projected to be higher owned than he will be. Mike Tauchman is outfield.
He's close. Yeah.
Yeah. Brandon Dixon, San Diego, Washington is exactly 2K.
Can he play?
And what does that mean?
I mean, can he hit the ball?
He's starting for the Padres. That's good enough, right?
I guess so.
He hasn't hit the ball in the majors at all, but he hasn't really played that.
Okay, fair enough.
But and it's hard because some of his numbers. He's also 31, and he had a nice little Pacific Coast League run, but any hitter who does that, it just means nothing because that's
you playing Erod tonight?
Yeah. I'm trying to look at. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing exciting about the Dixon thing. It's just a guy you could throw in there at 2K exactly. But yeah, he can't really. He's not much of a hitter. Moniak for the Angels is he 2K on FanDuel? For some reason I didn't get the.
No, I'm talking about DraftKings right now.
No, I know, but I was trying to read the question here from Antonio. I didn't know that. I didn't see that Moniak was 2K. That's interesting. Probably gets but would they bring in a left? I don't know. It depends on what. If he goes 1, Trout 2, then you got Ohtani or Trout. Yeah, there's some point in the game where he'll be probably removed, but still, I think that's a good play. I do have a little bit of Mackenzie Gore, but I'm more on the side of the Padres. And let's see. Hello again to Danny P. What are you guys dropping any other questions? I'm gonna try and get out of here in like 10 minutes. So my lineups aren't built. I've got Senga in like 25% of my lineup still. So I've got to.
I don't think you should play him.
Yeah, I am. By the way, I did throw a little bit of Tyler McGill in. He's looked a little bit better his last couple of outings, and it's still a team that strikes out. I don't know how long they're going to let him pitch because it is like 1 day, it's still full rest but he was coming back and he was pitching on the 6th day and he's pitching on the 5th day now. Just worth noting, you know what I mean? But otherwise, I would have thought he would have been actually a fairly reasonable option tonight. Right along with the other side of that game with the Smiley. I did think that I did go through the Smiley thing a little bit more in my head. He's been really good with his control, which has always been his issue. And a bad lefty control against this Mets lineup would scare me. But I just couldn't bring myself to pull off the Mets stack. I don't know how else to say it. And I also ended up lower on Smiley than I thought I was going to be. So we'll see what happens there.
So Diaz is definitely the play. Winker is 2,800 from Milwaukee.
Yeah,
that's pretty cheap.
Andrew, I'll answer that question real quick about is Bam viable in the captain or Jimmy Tatum captain build? Yeah, it's okay. I definitely think that Bam is okay as a captain. I'm not I don't think it's like an amazing, but it's really not that much of a discount. It doesn't feel like quite enough of a discount to me. I mean, 9,400 versus, so he's 3K cheaper. He has the one giant game in the series. Other than that, he's for the playoffs basically hasn't put up. I think he's put up 41 time other than that one game against Boston where he had a monster. But yeah, Bam is viable. I'm using Tatum and Brown mostly, or I'm getting weird with it and hoping Duncan Robinson hits a bunch of threes and you play him in the captain or do something weird like that. I think that's another route to go. I'm also interested to see what Boston's starting lineup is tonight, so I don't really know what my final decisions will be yet. But you'd think that they would try to do the things that I don't know. It feels like they're a team lacking identity right now, which feels like there's an opportunity to maybe make some different plays. But I can't figure out what those should be exactly.
Right.
I'm stuck on the Grant Williams decision with Boston. I'm stuck on Derek White, and I'm stuck on Robert Williams. Those are the guys who I'm just not sure what I'm getting out of any of them. If I had to pick one, money being equal, I think Robert Williams is a really interesting play. I do think that is I don't want to say it's their best lineup. I think it should be their best lineup is the one with Williams and Horford. And I also could see Horford losing some minutes to Williams just because Horford has been really, really bad.
Yeah.
And simple. He's just been terrible. He was much better in the series against Embiid, even though he couldn't make a three. At least he beat him up. There was a purpose. Not really sure what his purpose is of being on the court in this series. So I could see Robert Williams stealing a little bit from him. Am I getting to Oakland for single entry? No, but I do think Oakland is a viable stack. I just don't think they would be in my single entry lineups. Sheets, did you get to any Oakland?
No. All right, so let me tell you my exposures in the showdown lottery. I didn't do a big buy-in. Let me just see what I got here. Nothing particularly earth-shattering. I got like one hoodoo in the captain. So the majority of my exposures in the captain are Butler, Tatum, Bam, and Jaylen Brown. And then I got like a couple lineups with Gabe Vincent just because it just made the rest of the lineup just fit.
Mm-hmm.
As far as utilities, looks like my highest owned utility player is Derek White. And then Kevin Love. I saw you had him in one of your early builds that made me feel good. So I got that. And then I'll tell you who I probably should have more of. I don't know why he's like no owned and 10%. I only have like 10%, but Robert Williams can do some shit. You know what I mean? I don't know why I don't have more of him.
Well, it's just a matter. I mean, they didn't play him, so his projections don't look as good. You know, doesn't mean they won't play him though.
No.
I'm just curious. I mean, thgoing to adjust, right?
Oh, I know who the hoodoo is. The $1,400 Cody Zeller. That's going to be people are going to play him. I imagine I'm playing like 25% of it. Probably get 0 minutes, but whatever.
I mean, no, he's going to get minutes no matter what. There's just no reason to think he's going to play like minutes like he did last time.
Well, he's only 1,400. That's the thing.
Well, they played. You got only blowout run. Yeah, no, I understand. I mean, I'm not saying he's not 2,100, or is that the captain spot I'm looking at?
Captain 2,100.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean it makes sense that he could play.
Just a dumb showdown play. And remember, second place had a 0 in it last night.
That's what happens, you know. We see how guys win the million for football with zeros in it.
Yep.
Angels and Mariners for Antonio. Good luck to you, man. The pitchers for me on FanDuel, I don't really like. They're just obvious. Like, you know, it's going to be Cole, Strider, and Sonny Gray, and no one else will be owned. My favorites, I like Alex Cobb, and I like Cole the best. But if I'm not playing him, I like Cobb and Darvish instead of Gray and Strider. Gray would be my next one. I don't think I'm going Strider just because if I'm going to pay more for what I feel like is a slightly worse play than Garrett Cole, it just doesn't make sense to me at higher ownership. So I'll go the other way. And for what it's worth, you know, I want that quality start and a chance to the win. You could argue that it's tough for Cobb against Sonny Gray. I don't think there's a big gap between Cobb and Gray in general as pitchers. I really don't. I think it's very, very close. In fact, I believe I had that. I don't know if I actually put it down as one of my bets, but I think that, you know, the Giants being an underdog here, I'll take the Giants. It is 83 degrees there, and at least Cobb keeps the ball on the ground. Sonny Gray doesn't. I just think that you're getting like a very similar type of pitcher. And the one thing is, like, Cobb doesn't. He used to all the time. He hasn't lately had that, hey, we're pulling him because of a blister thing. Where Sonny Gray doesn't get pulled for that specifically. For some reason, some of his starts, he just doesn't go more than like 4 or 5 innings. Well, he hasn't gone more than 5 innings his last 3 starts. How am I paying 10-2, 10-6 for this guy? He's in one of my DraftKings lineups, but I couldn't do it. No problem. And by the way, look, none of these guys do I feel great about, except for I feel safest with Cole.
I will say this, that we have the Matt Habers at the Garrett Cole game, so that's something.
Oh, nice. That's fun. Yeah. So I guess so as far as tonight goes, Sheets, are we going to play it by ear and just decide last minute and see who?
Yeah, I think we'll play it by ear. I mean, I've had, you know, it's been a long couple of days. We'll see how I feel.
Yeah,
I'll tell you this: if we're live, for stuff, we'll definitely fire it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna probably bounce so I can get these lineups. They're making me
a favor though. When you after you whatchamacallit, stop the streaming, can I show you something?
Absolutely. Okay. All right, good luck tonight, everybody. We'll be in the premium Discord the rest of the night, and maybe live later. We'll let you know. Let us know if you guys are deep in anything so we can sweat you.